What's going on, guys? Well, I want to do another knife review for you. Today we're talking about an outdoor edge blade. This is the Brush Demon, and it's part of their survival series of knives. It's a fairly large fixed blade. Let's first talk about the sheath that comes in. I actually really like the sheath. It's just nylon. Obviously you can see there's rivets all around. You can use these to attach any kind of cordage if you want to keep this against your thigh, like a thigh brace or something similar. On the back here you can see there is a drop down portion of the sheath, Velcro. Not too happy about Velcro. I mentioned this multiple times in the past. If you could have Velcro on anything, you should have a button snap in the middle, just as a backup if you're using this in a very dirty environment, if you're, camping, getting a lot of, crud on it. If you're walking through heavy brush, leaves, debris, all kinds of stuff sticks to Velcro, especially in the wintertime. If you've ever gone out and actually used blades in the wintertime, you find that any kind of Velcro you have automatically finds a bunch of snow and ice. And it gets packed in there and it does not hold very well. Okay, so although I like the drop down quite a bit, I'd love to see a button snap or something in there in addition to what the Velcro offers. All right, so as you notice here, there is the snap for the drop down. There's also two additional snaps, okay? The snap for the drop down I found was very hard. When I first started using it with one hand, it was almost impossible to get that to unsnap. It would just rotate around. Okay, so you have to kind of use another hand or finger to stabilize that. This snap here, I think, is very necessary if you're going to be very active. The back snap does not need to be snapped. Okay, from my experience, it's just an extra step. Of course, if you're securing this upside down to a bag or something like that, yeah, you might want to utilize it, but it's not that big of a deal. All right, so that is the sheath here. Like I said, overall quality is pretty decent for what it is. I know a lot of guys like their Kydex, but there's nothing wrong with a good nylon sheath as well. So let's take a look at this blade here. You can see our handle right there. A very large blade. This is a 13.5-inch blade, powder coated, and the steel used is a 65 MN carbon steel. I know that's not, incredibly popular, so we'll talk about that a little bit. 65 MN is considered very comparable to 1065 carbon steel. It is a spring steel. It's very commonly used in China for sword making or sword forging. All right, it doesn't have the edge retention as like 1095 or similar steels, but it is very flexible. It can definitely take a beating like a 1095 blade. Okay, so no problems with anything chipping out, edges rolling, nothing like that. And I really beat on this thing. This steel, I believe, is also used as a base for diamond impregnated blades, like saw blades, used in industries. So there's our little logo there, Brush Demon, very Halloween-esque with the lettering. You can also see this is a Jerry Hossam design. I had the pleasure of talking with Jerry on Knife Forums. If you do a search for this blade Blade Forums. If you go over to bladeforums.com, there is a good long forum discussing this blade, and he talks about the design and so forth. And some people didn't like it because they thought it was too futuristic. And I kind of made this comment when I first got it, that it does have this futuristic feeling to it. And I actually called crap. Someone said, well, what makes that futuristic? Why would you say something like that? They took it as a derogatory thing, because I think a lot of us in the knife community, when you say futuristic knife, we think of the very cheaply made wall hangers, that it's all looks and no performance. It's kind of like the ricer, versus the tuner. You know what I mean? It's all about looking badass, but when it comes down to it, the performance is just not there. It doesn't match. Now, the reason I say that this is, futuristic in some way is because of these fine points on the handles, just how the bottom tapers down like that, almost looks like an arrowhead. The fact that, our blade lines aren't completely organic, like our edge, nice, constant curve. We have kind of an abrupt angle here, a totally straight spine, and then a complete angle change. All right, the blade here does perform very well. I'm here to tell you that the price on these are, I think, just under 40 bucks. They're like $38 or $39. Taking another look here at the whole picture, I did feel that this knife was a little, futuristic in its design, but it was not meant to be a hit on the knife. It was not meant to be a derogatory observation. You know what I mean? I wasn't trying to say that this was something you'd hang on your wall and not use. I got out there, I used this thing, I was very pleased with it. It is a little kukri-esque in the blade design here. Obviously you can see that, this abrupt angle change, nice big belly. Traditionally kukris don't have as pointy of a point. I do really like this point. Very much came in handy, and I even use this as a throwing knife, which is a hell of a lot of fun. But it doesn't have the same performance as a kukri just because it's lacking that weight. okay? If this was a much thicker fixed blade, it might have better chopping performance. So it can chop, but it's not a kukri, okay? It's just kukri-esque. So the ultimate question here is this knife worth 40 bucks? I do feel it's worth $40. I think that you'd have a lot of fun with it. I think that it performs fairly nicely. It's not gonna process wood like some of the big, heavy, fixed blades that are out there. It lacks that weight. But it is very wieldy, okay? It's very easy to use. There's much less fatigue in swinging this around. It has Brush Demon as the title, and I feel that's what this knife is best suited for, chopping down brush, small branches. This isn't something you're gonna just baton through a log with. Can you do that? Yes. How do I know? Because I did. But that's not its function, that's not its purpose, you know what I mean? This makes a decent brush knife, and for that, considering the price, I would recommend it. But it's just not gonna have the same performance that you would expect out of like a kukri for processing wood. A lot of my testing is processing wood because I like the whole bushcraft scene and that's part of it. I love making fires, and when I test fixed blades, that's something I focus on a lot. It's not necessarily what this knife was made for, but it handled itself fairly well, especially again for the price. That's the biggest consideration with any purchase of anything besides knives, is what are you paying for it? What are you getting for it? 40 bucks, I think you're getting a $40 knife here, and that's the purpose. Again, just to be different, I like the brown here, I like the logo. The quality of the handle's fine, but I did have a little hot spot I wanted to mention. You can see how this is nice and curved here. There's a nice palm swell, but the back straightens out a little bit, and this is kind of a sharp edge. It's not really sharp to feel like this, but I mean, when it's rubbing, when you're swinging and swinging, for an hour, it really starts to irritate the palm, okay? So there is a hot spot on this knife. It's not perfect, no knife is, but coming back to the original question, is it worth the 40 bucks? Yeah, I do think it is. If you like the design and you have some bushwhacking to do, it's definitely worth picking it up and trying it. It does perform better than some machetes that I've used, but not as well as others. It's kind of middle of the road. But again, beating a dead horse here, it's 40 bucks. So to compare it to a $100 knife and say, yeah, it's not as good as this one, no, it shouldn't be. It should be 4/10, or 2/5 as good as that knife, theoretically. But it doesn't always work out like that. Sometimes you overpay for certain things just because of a name brand or just because of a certain steel it has or whatever. This is not that case. This doesn't have a big popular steel in it. It's not a huge name brand everyone wants, but it works and I like it. So yeah, I'd recommend it. I'm going to do another review soon. I don't know the order of which I'm going to post these, but I'm also going to review the Outdoor Edge frame lock folder that I have. Also very impressive. So as a company as a whole, so far, trying 2 different blades from them, I think you're getting your money's worth with these products. So I'll leave it at that. If you happen to have this knife, I would love to hear your opinions, whether you liked it or you hated it. Everyone wants to know. Post them down in the comments section. Love to see them. Of course, I'll respond to you. And I just want to take a second to thank you for watching the video. Always appreciated. And stay tuned. Lots more blades coming. Hope you have a great day, guys. I'll see you soon.